Yesterday in our worship, a phrase jumped out at me in the liturgy. We are held by a love we are not required to deserve. I thought back to a meeting that I attended that was organized by BUILD, Baltimoreans United in Leadership Development. And seated around many tables were the presidents of Baltimore's hospitals, their human resources chiefs and staff, and unemployed Baltimoreans from some of our most distressed neighborhoods, 65% of whom had criminal records. And around those tables, we were asked to share a time when we were given a second chance. That meeting gave rise to the beginning of an unusual partnership between Baltimore's anchor employing institutions and Turnaround Tuesday, a movement to put Baltimoreans back to work. Melvin Wilson and Terrell Williams are the co-directors of Turnaround Tuesday. Dr. Cheryl Finney is on their leadership team and also happens to be the chair of the PNC that brought me to Brown Memorial, so we've been through some stuff. And I've had the pleasure of organizing with each of them, agitating with them, teaching and leading and praying with them, and learning from them, as we have all been guided by our belief that we are indeed held by a love we are not required to deserve, and taken that belief into the public realm where love always looks like justice, as Cornel West says. So I ask you to please welcome them along with some of our newest leaders from Turnaround Tuesday.
Good afternoon, Next Church. My name is Melvin Wilson, and I humbly serve as the co-director of Turnaround Tuesday, which, as Pastor said, is a jobs movement of BUILD, Baltimoreans United in Leadership Development. BUILD, several years ago, about 4 years ago, went out on the streets and talked to over 5,000 people in the Baltimore community because Baltimore was increasingly becoming violent. And we asked, what would change the violence in Baltimore? And to a person, we constantly heard the word jobs, jobs, jobs. So we caucused as BUILD does, and we created this institution that we thought we were going to do some work for a little while. I can tell you the first time we did Turnaround Tuesday, we had about 8 people in the room, and we left there this morning. We meet every Tuesday, and there were 128 people there. So this movement, because we don't call it a program because it's constantly changing, this movement has been extremely larger than we would ever imagine. Today we've helped 454 people get jobs. And as Pastor said, 65% are ex-offenders. So we're a team here. I'm the job side. I really push our jobs, and this is our leader side. And I'm going to have Terrell Williams, my good friend, my co-director, to come up and speak.
Good morning. Again, my name is Terrell Williams, and while the movement is really excited and have an obsession to get people employed, I am most committed to finding and developing and training leaders in our process. You see, we believe that people can and will see their potential if they can first make peace with their past. So we teach people to tell their story, not run from it, forgive themselves, and rebuild their communities while they lay in the wilderness. And now, a small portion of what we do each and every Tuesday. Thank you.
Turnaround Tuesday arose from seeing people hanging out on the street. So we went out and asked them, what would it take to get you off the streets? To a person, they said a livable wage job. Hence, we started Turnaround Tuesday. Over the last 3 years, we've helped 365 people obtain livable wage jobs. What we really are excited about is that 84% of those individuals are still working.
I was a medical assistant working through temp agencies, so that meant I didn't have stable work. When you are homeless because you don't have a lot of job stability, when you get to a point where it's hard for you to provide for your child's basic needs, you feel less than. And so I decided to stop in one day and I fell in love. I went through this 6-week session, and now I'm able to be employed through Johns Hopkins Hospital, where I am full-time employed. I've gone from being homeless to now having my own home, to being able to take care of my children, and that's because of this movement.
I do a lot of work in my job, but nothing gives me the satisfaction that working with Turnaround Tuesday and the program does. We've hired over 40 individuals who have been referred from Turnaround Tuesday. Many of these individuals have had challenges in life, whether it's been criminal convictions, whether they've had troubles with drugs and addiction, maybe they haven't had a lot of education and they've had a hard time finding employment. We believe in giving people an opportunity for a second chance. Just because they've made a mistake in the past, it doesn't mean that it needs to follow them forever in the future.
My name is William T. Glover Bay, and I'm currently working at Johns Hopkins Hospital as a floor tech. I maintain all the floors, and my area of work is the emergency department as well as the pediatrician department. When you're not working, easily feel like you're less than a man. And if you're not careful, the shame and guilt will eat you alive. To be employed, it feels exhilarating. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, it is absolutely uplifting.
I love this city, but I tell you, it rips my heart apart when I see the neighborhoods, the conditions that people have to live under. I think that we are so much better. If you can garner the power and partnership of an organization like Hopkins and say to them, we will work with those people that you've turned down, we understand there are certain skills that they don't have that they need. We will work to get them those skills. What we're asking you to do, at least give them an interview.
The hospital has had a really terrific partnership with Turnaround Tuesday. Part of our mission is to provide care for our local community. So being able to hire from our local community is incredibly rewarding. And some of the positions that are filled by employees from Turnaround Tuesday historically have had very high turnover. Turnover is not good for patient care. And now we have a pipeline of dedicated employees who are wed to the mission, and many have been there 3 years or more.
What we know about workforce turnover is it's very costly. When you go to an employer and you say, I will be following up with this person after they're employed, I'll be checking in with them, they're going to be invited back into our space for more training. It's very different than just sending a list of names of people that we think have the skills to do the job. For us, getting a job may be the first step, but our whole goal is to move people into living wages.
Turnaround Tuesday, we believe, will be a model for Baltimore as a whole. We believe that we would change this city from a violent city to a city that's working, a city that's thriving, and a city that's successful. We are so proud to be the recipient of the Henrietta Lacks Memorial Award because of the story of her life and the impact it has had on so many others. We believe the work that we do is going to be impactful not just today, but in the future. And we believe that families will be changed, communities will be changed, and lives will be saved.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Marshiek Garrison, and I am a leader of Turnaround Tuesday. I remember my life before I entered the wilderness of Turnaround Tuesday. For the past 30 years of my life, I tried to fill a void I hadn't a clue about. I tried men, drugs, the streets, and a host of other things. My life quickly spiraled out of control. For the last 15 years, I've been putting back the pieces of what's left of my life. I began on a journey of recovery that led me back to my home church, Zion Baptist. It was there that I began my new walk into the wilderness. I struggled at first, even giving others the advice and the access to the opportunities that became so clear today were for me. Watching and hearing the progress of others through this movement, I decided to take my own advice. I'm so glad I did. Since coming to Turnaround Tuesday some 9 months ago, I've been given the opportunity to engage with some pretty educated, smart, loving people. They're really cool there, they are. And I went from sitting in the front row every Tuesday to a life-changing career. Yes. I embarked on a training so satisfying and enlightening that most days I can't help but to sit and stare at my work badge. Since completing the training to becoming a community health worker, I am now employed full-time by one of the most influential institutions in the state of Maryland, the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. I am a community health worker. I have my own business cards. I have an office. Yeah, listen, it might not mean anything to you, but coming from a girl who at 37 years old received her high school diploma and over 10 years gave birth to 10 children who were addicted to drugs. My God. Over my lifespan, I gave birth to 10 children to whom some were born addicted. I had no work ethic and no background, no training until the age of 40 plus. But today it means that I am well on my way to maintaining a better, healthier life for myself and my family. I owe everything to God and to the dedicated leaders of Turnaround Tuesday. I thank you for everything that you have put into it. My gratitude speaks every day that I rise and I start my day with dedication and anxiety to help not one woman, but many women who are just like me. I am grateful for what the wilderness has produced through me. Thank you. And now I will give you another leader of Turnaround Tuesday, Donald Medley.
Hello. I was nervous enough when I seen the numbers right here, but at the Shamik presentation, listen, I don't believe my story will be nearly as inspiring as Shamik's, and as Herman says it is, it's because it's true. My path, my journey here was very typical of Baltimore streets, unfortunately, and I would just like to share to you, with you, what my journey has been through the wilderness. My introduction to the wilderness was at a very young age. At 8, I experienced something truly unfair for anyone to bear, especially a child. It impacted my views and choices almost instantly, affecting me so deeply that by 9, I had my first run-in with the law. Immediately after, started the psychiatric evaluations and eventually riddling. I had good parents, though, parents who tried on numerous avenues, but I couldn't be reached. But the streets offered me an escape from the things in my head. And step by step, I embraced the direction that the streets were offering, battling with my parents all the while. They even tried enlisting me in a military school at one point to stop my fall. It was during this, in the end, despite being the product of a two-parent home and a dad that was quite the disciplinarian, I earned my first incarceration at the age of 18 in the Western Maryland forestry camps. It was during this incarceration I met Mr. David Hurd, my probation officer. And all the words he spoke during his visits to the camps, the ones that to this day resonated the loudest and most memorably, was when he said, "Many of you guys are going to choose not to listen to me or anything else, and consequently this lesson will have to continue not too far away from here in Hagerstown." Around 18, soon after, I was released from the forestry camps. Around 18 months later, at 18, I was arrested for armed robbery, which would be my first major incarceration. Given 10 years in the Maryland Department of Corrections, all I could do was ask the judge, how was I supposed to do 10 years? The judge pulled her glasses down to the tip of her nose so that she could see me over her glasses and replied, "I don't know, Mr. Medley, but you will, and you'll have to figure out how you do it." 8 years later, and parole early, I stayed home just long enough to prove myself an intelligent criminal now, and long enough to earn the attention of the FBI. My home was raided, I was arrested and handed a 180-month sentence with the Federal Bureau of Prisons for violating USC 841, possession with intent to distribute. I can recall standing before the judge the day of my sentencing then, stressing my regret and shame that I was a repeat offender. I stood there fully aware I had been advancing the destructive narcotics culture in my community and that I had consciously chosen to benefit and taken advantage of people's sickness. I just wanted another chance to do something right with my life at this point. The night I was sentenced, I had no clue how I was going to do sanely a 15-year sentence. I was totally lost. The only one thing I was certain of was that on the other end, I would be a better person and I would be a better man. And for almost the next 11 years, I guess you could say my journey had a purpose and my wilderness was different, even though I was living in the jungle. Halfway through my sentence, I took my first real shot at leadership at Fort Dix, and with the help of a former Crip from California and a producer from New York, we developed the Prisoners Awareness Program to combat violence. Upon my release on September the 25th, 2009, I had served just under 20 years of my adult life. I was 40. Signing in at the desk of my probation officer, I recognized his name for the first time. And for the second time in my life, I met David Hurd. To this date, I can't articulate what and how I felt from the second encounter with Mr. Hurd and under those circumstances, but I know I meant to take something from it. This time, I listened. I listened and I heard him. So when I first encountered Turnaround Tuesday, I was apprehensive, to say the least. I had a predetermined mistrust for the whole process of going through someone's program to find a job or career opportunity. I remember giving myself numerous reasons not to feel like it was for me. I thought, they on religion, they not about trying to help me out. It's too many people here, how they gonna focus on me? Oh man, here we go again, they talking about exercising. What that gotta do with getting the job? Almost to the point, in the end, point by point, my doubts got beat down. Even down to Pastor Prentice giving all he got with the exercises that was meant to emphasize the importance of healthy mind, body, and soul in order to prepare a fully prepared package. Even when he wasn't feeling the best himself, he gave us all he got because he knew that's what we needed in order to get where we needed to be. Still though, pardon me, It took 2 tries at Turnaround Tuesday because I just wasn't ready to be patient through that process. It took a couple more disappointing attempts at trying to find somewhere I could make a place for myself and build from. And in the end, I ended up walking back down those steps at Mount Zion. The second time around, though, I allowed myself to experience Turnaround Tuesday and not just be present. From the point I came through the door, the people were receptive. I paid attention to everybody paying attention. I watched people participate, and I heard a lot of stories similar to my own. But it was Melvin Williams that said what I really needed to hear. This is about getting you guys employed, he said. Come here as you are, and we'll help you get where you want to be, only if you're willing to do the work to get there. I went to Melvin after the meeting that day was over, and I reintroduced myself, and I explained what I had been through. Melvin said, come back here tomorrow for a training I believe you would be good in. I did what he asked, and the following week, my community health care training started. In the end, the thing that pushed me forward to return a second time to Turnaround Tuesday was that on 2 different occasions, people spoke of the good Turnaround Tuesday's movement was really doing to help people. So I joined the movement because I believed they were committed to help and support my efforts and that I could commit my leadership and my support with theirs. Today, at Johns Hopkins, I create relationships in high-risk communities and neighborhoods, partnered with community-based organizations in order to identify HCV-positive individuals and link them to the care of our team of case managers and doctors at the Bartlett Clinic. In closing, I would like to say this. I'm a product of Baltimore, East Baltimore. I was born at Johns Hopkins. Myself and my 4 siblings were treated by the same doctor for almost our entire youth life. Even some of our children were born there at Johns Hopkins. I've walked the streets of this city, both east and west, and I've taken much from these communities. My journey through the wilderness has been one that I cannot raise my head in pride about much. However, I do proudly live my life knowing that through it all, I have truly, truly been blessed. If for no other reason, I've been blessed to survive it, to endure it, and to stand here. I knew I could do more, and I wanted to do more for my life and my community. And because of the Turnaround Tuesday Johns Hopkins partnership, I am now not only employed, but I have a career. I get to walk the streets of this city I love, that I once took so much from and did so much to. And now I get to show that there isn't just one way to be a product of these communities. With this movement and as a member of BILL, I have a place, finally, accepting the reality that I am in a position to affect so many people's lives has given me a sense of value and responsibility that goes beyond any work shift or event. Outreach has given me a purpose in my community, and Turnaround Tuesday is the place that I'm leading in it. Thanks tremendously.
Wow. I'm Cheryl Finney. Thank you, Donald and Marshiek. So out of the wilderness came these 2 leaders and their powerful stories. What a loss to Baltimore it would have been if they had only been seen as people who needed job services. We have been thrilled to witness people coming alive to their purpose. It is obvious that leaders like Marshiek and Donald are going to take us places we don't even know yet. 4 things we're learning. 1, remain a movement, not a program. Act on what you hear. We did not start with, we have unemployed people in Baltimore. Let's organize a program and invite them in. We started with organizing people, listening to challenges, inviting people to act on this together, doing the work with and never for. Born out of this listening, we created something new, and different, something we would have totally missed if we'd started with a set structure. And I'm a structure person, as they well know. This was challenging for me. 2, whole people heal their own communities. Addressing trauma people are experiencing head-on by starting all our trainings with a spiritual vitamin, we recognize that pain, and it grounds all of our training. Addressing the spirit, mind, and body, as Donald mentioned, we exercise together at the session, and it centers us from the very beginning. Whole people heal their own communities. 3, think and learn together. We've seen people wake up when guided to think together around the challenge we all experience. If you came to Turnaround Tuesday, you would see participants sitting next to employers, presidents of institutions, CEOs, professors, and even police. And each one of them would be asked to stand up, find someone they do not know, share their response to a challenging question, such as, share a time when you used power over someone, or someone used power over you. Wouldn't you like to come and hear those responses? They are rich, coming from different lenses, and we draw on all of that in our training. Terrell does an amazing job of drawing the intelligence and the experience from the room for the teaching. We pair job readiness training with leadership training, and that is unusual. It is creating powerful workers who walk into a workspace seeing themselves differently from the start, and who will often step up and lead where others will not. They lead on civic actions outside of the job, as you see today, and are part of transforming their own communities. Finally, 4, we must be anchored in institutions. As you heard, we created an institution within the church. Rising up out of the wilderness, through all the barriers people have before them, we are witness to people coming alive to their purpose, with the church rejoicing and blossoming along with them. Thank you.